So much like a classic winged eye, there's also the classic red lip. They pair beautifully together or separately, but today I'm gonna show you how to do it with your winged eye. So I'm gonna show you a couple of my favorite tricks to get the perfect red pout. So when you're doing lips, whether it's red or any color, I like to always prep the lips with a little bit of concealer. What this is gonna do is neutralize the skin and the lips so that everything is one shade and one tone altogether. So I take my favorite concealer, the same one that I've used for the rest of the makeup. I take a little bit on a brush and I just dust the lips perfectly around the edges just to make sure that everything is starting as a blank canvas. You don't want to put too much because you don't want to add a heavy layer of product, but you want to neutralize all tones, and since everyone's lip tones are a little different, you always want to just start from something clean. And I've used so little on the brush because a little bit goes a long way with concealer. Just naturally, most people tend to be a little bit more pink around the nostrils and around the sides of the mouth. So these are places that we always like to conceal to make sure that everything is one tone and even before we apply any products. So once I've finalized the concealer and I've gotten all my pink spots to a neutral tone, I like to take a little bit of an invisible powder and just dust it over. What this is gonna do is fill in any fine lines so that while applying the lip liner and the lipstick, everything is super smooth and there's no moisture that could mess with the integrity of the product. So it's gonna stay dry and it's gonna stay in place. So now that the lip is prepped and primed, it is dry and it is one neutral color, I can now go in with a lip liner, which is gonna start the shape of the lip. I always like to take a tissue, and what the tissue is gonna do is it's gonna go right under the lip. It's just gonna be kind of like a stopper, and it's also good for your hands so that you're not resting on the skin. So as I start to apply, I always fill in just the middle, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna create a little bit more of that pout. And this is a guide for your lipstick, so you wanna make sure that it's perfectly lined how you want it. So I've lined the bottom lip and I've filled in just the middle, and that's gonna give a bit of a heavy weight to the middle of the lip, which gives the illusion of a bigger pout. And even though we're gonna be adding red lipstick over this, it will hold the lipstick on even better because you've got a base of red underneath. So I'm slowly starting to fill it in, with the middle always being a little bit more opaque than the rest. And then I can go right into the top using that napkin to rest my hand on again. And I always start on the edge of the inner corner and work my way up and out. So depending on the lip shape, it really varies on how you want your Cupid's bow to be. It could be almost like an upside down heart, something really round. Some people prefer more of a point or a cone, and some people just like one cohesive, straight, round top. With Amber, I'm gonna go a little bit more rounded, almost like an upside down heart on her Cupid's bow, and that's gonna just give me a really cute and romantic little pucker. And you can always perfect the outer corners after you've applied your lipstick or your lip gloss, depending on what your preference is. But this is a good way just to start. And then I'm gonna just lightly fill it in on top as well so that we have an equally good base for the red lipstick. And then I will go back over the Cupid's bow once we have applied the product. So I'm gonna take a matte lipstick. A matte lipstick is really good for longevity. It stays on really well. The touch-ups are far less throughout the day, and you don't have to worry about product bleeding, which is a #1 issue with colored lipsticks. Especially with more mature skin, you don't want it to bleed into fine lines, which is why using the translucent powder as well as a matte texture can help avoid any of that. You also want to make sure you pick the right tone for your skin. Today on Amber, I'm going to go a little bit more of a blue-based red, and this is going to work with her olive tones. You can also find more of an orange-based red or a pink-based red, but for somebody a little bit more olive tone, we typically want to stay in the blues. It warms up to their skin beautifully, and it stays vibrant throughout the day. So I'm applying it with a lip brush because a lip brush gives you far more control. I'm able to cut the corners a little bit sharper, as well as get the edge of the bow exactly how I'd like it because I'm not using a pre-made base. I'm creating my own applicator with the brush. And I'm just going over all of the outer corners. You want to make sure every corner has been covered and in a sharp and clean way. And at this point, I can take a little bit more on the brush and perfect that Cupid's bow that we did earlier. So I'm going to take my napkin one last time, and I'm just going to go and do a little hump here and a little hump there. And I'm going to take the corners of the brush just to get those inner sides. We don't want any gaps anywhere. And you can then take your concealer and touch up any outer edges that you want a little bit more of a definition. So you could take an angle brush or a smaller fluffy brush like this one, and you can clean up any edges, make sure that everything is super tight and clean. And you can do the same thing with the translucent powder to avoid any bleeding. And there we go.